My name is Fredrik Tibblin. Been working within IoT for many years. I'm only 25, but I started 2000, so I don't know the mathematics. Something happens. But I'm responsible for the sales in Sweden, and I've been working with a lot of customers, and you here as well. And you, Erik, and me know each other for many years, and Alma from Scania and Xylem as well. So it's really good to be here. So I will give a little bit background to what type of company is Telenor. For some of you, it's a little bit new information. The historical line as well, and also what we are doing now with the networks, and maybe not only us, because we rely on the roaming networks as well around the globe. So a little bit, and Martin and Håkan will talk a little bit more about the future and future technologies and so on. And if you have questions, just ask them. And how many of you here are using 2G devices only today? No one? Then we can go home. No, I know that for sure that there are 2G devices out in the field. So here is a little bit about my presentation. I will give some slides about Telenor and what we are delivering, and also how we are supporting our existing customers with the sunset of the networks and technologies, especially 3G and 2G, I would say. And then sum up and questions. But if you have questions, just ask them during the presentation as well. Making history. As I mentioned, I started at Europolitan around 2000, so 24 years ago. And at that time, the IoT was not born, I would say. It was telematic, circuit switch data. You did a circuit switched call to the machine and read out the data. And it was also the time with the faxes, POSIO faxes and POSIO faxes, yeah, exactly. But there was a couple of people in Europolitan that thought that this is a really great business. It will be a really great success. The hockey stick will come. And we signed the first two large customers. We still have them today. It's Volvo and Verisure. So the home alarm, and also the e-call system for Volvo cars, and also Volvo trucks, the fleet management system. And today, I think someone of you have used the Volvo On Call app and turned on the heater. I have done it. That was the killer app and the success for Volvo cars using the app and the telematic solution. 2006, there was a regulation in Sweden for the utility. So instead of invoicing you and me with a value for our energy consumption that we guesstimate, you need to have the real data, and that was up to the utility companies to find the right solution. And a lot of them choose the GPRS and 2G solution. So there was a very important milestone, I would say, in our history, because there was millions of devices that was connected at that time. So the connection company was started 2008, and the reason for that was more or less that our business is totally separated from the mobile phones and mobile broadbands, and also the core system internally. So it's very important that you can have high uptime on the service, and for a local operator like Europolitan or Vodafone at that time, you can turn down the network during the night and make all upgrades. But what is happening, and if you have devices in US during the nights, so that was the reason we founded Connexion. And today we are, now I take next slide. Now we are one of the leading companies in the world within the IoT business. We are top 10 globally, top 3 in Europe, and top 1 in the Nordics, with over 20 years experience. And we also have around 20 million connected devices out in the field, with a lot of experience, I would say. So it has not been a simple journey. It has been a lot of discussions, challenges, and so on. But it's a really fun journey to be in. And we also have offices spread around the globe to support our customers. Our headquarters is here in Solna, but we have offices in US and in APAC, depending on where we have our global customers. And here are some logos we're working with. So a typical customer to us is where you have devices deployed in many countries globally. If we take Husqvarna as an example, so we have today over 1 million robotic movers connected in 62-ish countries. So that is quite global. We have Hitachi. I think they're deployed in over 100 countries as well.
140 plus.
140, yeah. So our typical customers are very global, and you know the challenges with the network, with the technology. So our solution is to support our customer with a simplified solution for the cellular connectivity. And we have actually two different services that we're providing. And you can see this, Martin, you maybe can talk more about this picture, but this is from our support. We have a network operation center in Karlskrona that are monitoring all devices, all SIM cards. Yeah. So even if a single one.
So this is live data that you see flashing for a 48-hour period, where we have tracked which cell site the SIM cards are connected to. So when we say that we are global, we actually mean it.
Exactly. Not North Korea, I think.
No, it's a dark spot.
It's very dark. So the light blue dots is where a SIM card have sent some data during these 48 hours. We have done this animation. So this is from the tool we are using in the service operation center. And so we are coming from, we are the cellular connectivity provider. So we can give access, one SIM card with access to over 500 networks in 200 countries on 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G today. So we are not dividing the technology. So it's more or less up to the modem to pick and choose the right network. And we will talk more about the right technology and right network going forward. The other service we have, it's quite new. We launched it during the fall, a half year ago. It's called Telenor IoT Complete. And normally when I am talking about this, I compare it with if you will build a new house, then you will not make every detail in the house. You will not build the water lines or the water pumps or whatever it is. So this is more a turnkey solution. So you will move into the house, take the key, open the door, and then maybe you will do some changes by what color you will have on the wall and so on. So this is more a turnkey solution for IoT where the hardware is also included. So what we actually have done is that we have taken all these 8 puzzle bytes and put it into a service together, because this is a hurdle for many customers, especially within the industrial manufacturing vertical. Maybe they don't have the competence inside. They will quite quickly do a proof of concept. Then we can very easily send out this certified device already we have, and you can connect it through the different interfaces we're already supporting, RS-232, 485, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, USB, whenever it is. You can be up and running quite quickly. And then inbuilt in this product is also the connectivity and the monitoring of the network. Oh, sorry. I actually have this Lattjo Lajban-lådan. I have this product here, so maybe it's better to see it live. So actually here it's how it looks like, with a lot of interfaces in this. So this can be configured quite easily. You can get up and running if you have a water pump or a heat pump or whatever it is. So it could be quite quickly up and running. The product have also inbuilt support for different industrial protocols. I know you're from Xylem, you're using Modbus. Is it correct?
Reluctantly.
Yeah, reluctant. And there is other protocols inbuilt as Profinet and different IOs and also serial over UART support. So, and the big advantage with this one is that you don't need to be a very skilled programmer to build your own firmware in the device. So you can drag and drop in a tool. It's like you're building your own PowerPoint. Then you can create your own software to upload the devices deployed in the field. And when you have done the POC, then you can cooperate with Sigma and the partners we're using to maybe build in the product in your own product, so to say. So design it in. So this is a little bit, what you say, a turbo or a quick start kit for IoT. Sunset, 2G, 3G sunset. And this is happening now. This is a picture actually I took from our roaming department. We have a roaming department in Telenor Connexion that are working almost 24/7, but the whole days with sunset and discussions with different operators. And it's very important for us to know when will the local operator close down a service or a 2G or 3G network. And as you can see, this is happening already now. It started already 2009 with a couple of operators. The blue one here is 2G and the orange one is 3G, the 3G networks. So you can see that some of the operators have already started. And I think Switzerland is totally closed for 2G and 3G now, if you take Europe. So it's really happened. And you can see here the coming years, 2024 and 2025. You can see there is a lot of operators that are closing down the 2G and 3G networks. So here you need, if you have 2G devices, you need to have a plan for upgrading or replace the devices that you have deployed in the field. And here we also help and support you in what countries do you need to prioritize and do it first, because you can't do it in one big bang because the cost will be too high for that. And we from Telenor Connexion, we are not leaving our customer by themselves and say good luck. Now you need to change technology. We are trying to help as far we can with this. We have really good tools internally that we can share this information with you. So let's say if you have your devices deployed in 60 countries, where should I focus today to swap to a new device? So you doesn't need maybe to start in UK, because in UK the network sunset will be maybe after 2030. Then it's better to start in Norway and Sweden, because it's maybe around the corner here. So we have the tools, we have a governance structure for this, and maybe some of you have already been involved, especially you, Alma, I guess, from the Scania side that are involved into this. And we try to support as good we can between each other to take next step to upgrade to the new technologies. What we also have is a BI tool. So here is a simulation. I don't know which customer it is. So we can simulate exactly on the deployed fleet of SIMs or devices you have. So we can exactly see how the impact will be today, tomorrow, next year. So this map shows actually how it looks like today for a customer. I think it's one of our test accounts. And you see Australia is red. So that means that maybe all operators will close down 2G this year. then it's red. So you need to do something there really urgent, otherwise your devices will be totally out of network after this year. If it's more orange one, it's maybe one operator left or two have decided to close down the 2G, 3G network, but there's still maybe one operator that operating a network for next year as well. So here we can really support and go hand in hand and help where to focus, let's say, and where to.
And what we do in addition, I mean, of course, we have the data of the sunsets, but we also get information from our probes and analytics tools about the modem and the capabilities in the modem.
Exactly.
So, I mean, there's of course less impact. It could be some impact for coverage if a 2G network is shut down, also if you have support for 4G in the device, but it's probably less severe if it's a device that only have 2G capabilities. Then, of course, the impact of the sunset is going to be, terminal.
And also, we talked about that during the mingle as well. And sometimes operators, especially in South America, I don't know why, from one day to another, they close down the 2G in one part of the country without announcing it to someone. So it's really important that we're monitoring and having these probes as well to see actually how it looks like.
A question. So if you have roaming partners all over the world.
Yes.
So if you have customers in Sweden that have 2G and you close down your network, could you offer those customer services through your roaming partners locally in Sweden?
No.
No.
There's a little bit of a gap there because we could use for some customers, but this has to be provisioned in advance. But we can have had a Danish IMSI range just for the sake of providing multi-network coverage in Sweden.
Exactly.
That's something that we offer. But if you have that already, then
if you have old SIM cards where you can't change the profile on the SIM card and you have a Swedish one, we are not allowed to roam into another supplier.
And this is actually the situation that is on most markets, that you don't have national roaming between the operators, which is also one. I mean, now we happen to have a Swedish business, so Sweden is our weak spot in that sense, right, for our IMSI range, unless we use the Danish one. But internationally, it's of course an advantage using roaming, because we can handle that one network is being shut down mostly. It's first when the last network is being shut down that our devices become stranded, because usually we have roaming agreements with all networks. So comparing it to having a local SIM for each market, for instance, you are exposed to that single operator and you don't have a fallback.
So, you need to change the profile to be able to roam into the other one. But in Sweden, all operators, as it's stated now, will close down 2025. We will talk about that a little bit more. So then it doesn't help either. So what is another good thing is that we have a test lab in Karlskrona. In Karlskrona, we have our tech center within Telenor Connexion. Here you can simulate different options in the network. So it's a network lab, you can say. And Sigma here, we saw your great lab. You have more a radio lab, but we have a network lab. So you can bring down your product. Maybe you're planning to upgrade to the LTM or LTE, Cat4 or Cat-BIS or whatever it is. Then you can try your device, what will happen with it if you take this new module and plug it into existing one, and they can simulate a lot of things so you can really see that everything is working properly going forward. So this is a really good lab. I don't think, I haven't heard anyone else that you can bring in customers and your products to test this in a controlled way. So here you will also have access to radio planners as well in this lab when you're there, and we are supporting as well. And that is also a part, as I mentioned here, in our governance structure with our customer, that if we suggest maybe it's good that you're coming down with your device and try it, then we also, from our perspective in our network operations center, it's teaching themselves, and they learn how your device behave in the network going forward.
And as an example, I mean, normally, if the device is properly configured and everything like that, and let's say it has support for both 2G and 4G, it should, of course, move over to 4G by itself when the 2G network has been sunsetted. But we have experienced that some customers they have not tried that use case properly. So when the 2G network is being moved away, the device don't reconnect. Maybe you could have done that reconnect remotely or anything like that. But if you cannot reach the device because it's trying to hook up to a network that's not there, you still have the same effect as if you would only have 2G in the network. So for that reason, we always encourage our customers to come to the lab, and we run through a number of scenarios, and we can simulate that networks are being taken off, or maybe it's even so that the device is close to a border where 2G is reached from a roaming network somewhere else, and you have strange situations. We can often identify these situations. So it's
West Coast in Sweden,
yes.
Skåne, where you have Denmark. Yeah, questions. This was actually my last slide, so questions.
Yeah, I mean, this lab sounds very interesting, and we'll have a lot of follow-up questions later. But I mean, can you also simulate moving devices, situations, and
without moving the device?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
We can when you sit in the lab, you can remotely tell the antennas or base stations that we have there to reduce its power, which is then simulating a device moving from one cell to another. Yeah.
But you can also have it on a tray, so you go around in the lab, and you can also simulate the handover between countries, because we have, is it Finnish, Danish, Norwegian, Swedish coverage in the lab as well. So you can simulate if you're going abroad and crossing a border, for instance.
Very interesting. Thanks.
More questions?
How many active 2G customers do you have at the moment?
Too many.
So there is actually a bigger problem.
Absolutely. Yeah. Almost all our customers, I would say, have 2G devices.
Yeah, but pure 2G, not 2G fallback.
There are some. I should have brought that figure with me, of course. I don't have it. I would say it's more devices that are on a daily basis using 2G than are only 2G only devices, if you understand my point here. Yeah. But so I think a while ago it was about 1/3 of devices that were continuously using 2G, not necessarily saying they don't have 4G support. This is of course changing all the time, but then I will go through a little bit on the macro trend as well. We've been very global. In all markets, this is not a problem.
No, exactly. In Africa, there is no sunset plans yet, for instance. Any more questions?
So, regarding coverage today, if we have a unit that's using both 2G and Cat-M1, and we deploy this on a fixed position in many places, it's still a lot of them, though it's prioritized with using LTM, it's still many just using GSM. And I think GSM is better coverage usually, and the recommendation for us building units is to use LTM or narrowband IoT. And it seems strange for me that still now it's better coverage using GSM.
I think it's also dependent on the frequency planning. So if you're sending out GSM network in a lower spectrum, then you will have better penetration. And if you have LTM on a higher spectrum, frequency spectrum, then it doesn't reach into the buildings in the same way. So that could be one answer on that.
That could be one. On many markets, I would agree with you that 2G still has an advantage in coverage. Then we know that LTM, 4G networks, they're still being rolled out and densified from an operator perspective. And I think when the new generations have come and play, of course, we have prioritized urban areas where we need capacity. because we have had coverage from 2G. But I would say that, of course, I cannot answer for all operators around the world how their investment plans look like, but I can tell you generally, before the sunset of 2G, you of course want to make sure that you have sufficient replacement coverage available, and that should include LTM coverage as well. So it depends a little bit where you are. Then one other thing, and going back to the test lab, I think what we see quite often is that it's hard, even if you have prioritization between the networks, how the modem and firmware in the modem actually behaves is not necessarily exactly what you believe. So there are a lot of parameters with threshold values of what is actually LTM coverage, right? It's somewhere you need to put a threshold in your modem that say that this is to me LTM coverage. How that threshold is being set matters a lot when it comes to network selection. So, and this is something that we can also help out in identifying how to configure a device to behave properly if you really want to be on LTM preferably. So, yeah, there are a lot of parameters that can be surrounding this.
But it's a bit scaring when deploying 4G devices, but they are still using 2G. So you don't really know when 2G gets switched off if they would work.
We talked about that. We should turn off the network now for a week and see what's happening.
Yeah, I think because it's really hard to set it to LTM only now, because I don't think there is the coverage that is the same as GSM today.
No, it's not going to be exactly the same for sure. And then, of course, there could always be the situation that LTM is better in one location, but 2G still is better in another one. The sites are not exactly on the same spot usually. So,
okay, thanks.
A little bit market. We are planning to have an event in Karlskrona in April 24th, 25th of April, think tank, where we open up the lab for access. So just reach out to me if you want to join that one. So there will be a tour in the lab as well. So we're calling it for Think Tank 2024. So it's a customer partnership event. So if you're more interested into it.
I'd just like to mention that we're really talking about as you say, you never know what happens when 2G. Will they camp on LTE instead? And we've been struggling for some time with a customer project in exactly this topic. And we together have been looking into how that can be resolved. So I urge you to actually use these labs because it's really worthwhile understanding. It's too late.
Too late when it's turned off.
It's too late then.
Because then you can't reach the device.
Exactly.
Anymore. So if you're testing it first and then you can fix the firmware or the settings or whatever it is. Good. Now I think it's your turn.
It is, right? Isn't it?